People resource is the most important resource in business. We haven't seen a single business successful unless their people are successful. So here we are with the third part of how to become a corporate. My name is Hardik Harsora and I am your management consultant that helps your business grow and propel. Keep watching this video right till the end. I'm again going to share a lot of pointers with you, and if possible, make notes. Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about human resource, how to go about managing that. And this is the third video in the series of how to convert your small business into a large corporation and what does it really take. If you haven't seen the previous two videos, I'm going to paste the links. If you're going to see this on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, you would see the link appear somewhere here. If you're watching this on Facebook, you would see the links in the description box. Do watch them as well. Well, human resource, there are three critical aspects that one needs to know very, very well. Number one, how to get the right resource. Number two, how to keep that right resource in your company. Number three, if the time comes, how to let that resource go and disconnect. Let's discuss these things in detail now. So first point that we are going to talk about is how to get the people. Now people can be got from various sources. You could get people by advertising in newspapers. You could get people by advertising on social media platforms like LinkedIn. You could get people by sourcing them from job portals yourself. And you could also get people by going to institutions, maybe colleges or any other professional institution that teaches people whatever you want to hire them for. Out of these sources that we discussed, some of the favorite ones that I personally would like to use is for any white collared requirements, like for example a business development manager or a manager of operations. I would prefer to go on LinkedIn and put up an ad there. What LinkedIn does is something very beautiful. LinkedIn not only searches for candidates that matches your requirement and shows you the profiles of them, it will also allow people to apply for it. So you get a plethora of resumes that you could call them and invite them for an interview. The second best channel that I feel is worth going to for specifically niche professional requirements, like for example, if I require somebody who does design work, architectural design, then I could go to architectural schools and then hire people from there. If I need somebody who can do carpenting work, then I can go to schools which teach carpenting work and hire people from there. It's a fantastic way of doing this. Now, let me come to this point where what if you do not have time to do all of this? A lot of people fall back to the third and my biggest favorite channel, and that's going to the recruiters. My friend, as a small business owner, we often do not go to recruiters. We fall back on references, which is in our case most often than not the most poor performing channel to recruit people, because we get people who are available, and you don't want people who are available. You want the people who have the right skills. So going to a recruiter, you may have to pay for that service, but it is definitely worth, because you get the right person and you get it with ease. You don't have to spend your time on it. Now, we stay in an information age. That means every information that we provide is going to be used. What are recruiters going to do? The recruiters are going to search by the keywords that you have given them. The recruiters are going to search by the designations that you've given them. Now, as an SME, do not make a mistake, and this is a warning. Do not make a mistake of combining two profiles. You can't get a carpenter and an architectural design guy in the same person. If you give such a profile to the recruiter is going to get confused and is not going to be able to search. He will send you a profile which is good at one and not good at the other one, or he would send you a profile who's mediocre, and that's not the kind of person that you want to hire. So segregate and decide what you want what you want to get done, profile it accordingly, and then give the recruiters, because the recruiters are going to use the keywords of the profile, the designation of the profile that you give them. Coming to the second part of how do you get people on. Once you have the recruiters or your channels identified and you now have candidates coming to you so that you can make the selection, you got to interview them. Now I break the interview process into two parts. One is basic interviewing round. I also call it basic information round, and the other one is technical testing round. Now why do I break it into the two? In the information round, my idea is simply to gather information about this individual, about this personality, about his background, about what he's achieved in his professional career, in his academic career, and what his thought process is. That's it. I am not evaluating skills there. A lot of us would make mistakes. A lot of my clients have seen, prospects I have seen making this mistake of asking the employee, what do you think? Would you be able to do X, Y, and Z, right? And the obvious answer is yes, I will be able to do it. I mean, who in his sane mind would say, no sir, I can't do that, but still hire me? He is there to sell himself. He will definitely say a yes. Coming to technical round. Now in the technical round, you must give a technical test to that person. So like we spoke about a carpenter, if you're hiring one, give him some carpenting job that you really do in your organization. Don't make up something that you don't do at all. Give him the real task and see if he can perform that very well. If it's a designer, make him work on 3D Max or whatever software you really use and see if he is able to perform well. It's like testing him on the real scenarios, and if he is able to perform well there, that's the proof of the pudding, and you would be able to hire that person very well. I can make an entire video on what questions to ask during the interview information section. If you want me to make that video, please put it in the comments and I will make sure that I give one for you. Let's come to point number 2 now. How to keep people, the good people, in your organization. When I talk about this topic, it normally boils down to 3 things that any good person requires. Number 1, environment that the person is working in. You know, good people require good environment. If you have an office which has uncolored walls, which has broken or torn or worn out chairs, a computer or a fleet of computers which are dusty and second hand and not working properly, very slow, old softwares on it, and you know, people are just kind of managing with it, that's not the environment a good person would like to work in, because he likes to do what he is doing. A good person is a very attractive resource, and a lot of corporates and a good company would want to hire him. If he is given an offer, he will always select between the two, and his obvious choice will be the environment which is better. You want to not be spending a lot of money to get this environment right, but at least have the basic hygiene aspects right. Don't make do with broken things, get them fixed. Don't make do with shabby looking chairs or tables, just get them right. You don't need to spend a lot of money on it, you just need to make sure it is good enough and it is clean. Another aspect that matters the most when it comes to environment is how the boss is. You know, we are all monkeys and we always look up to our bosses or anybody that we look up to. In case of entrepreneurs, you probably look up to some consultants, trainers, coaches, or anybody that you think is very successful, and you automatically kind of start to mimic that person, you know. And all the people that you look up to are people who do everything that is good in your eyes. If there is somebody who is doing something that you feel is not right, you will never look up to that person. In fact, you would not want to see that person or talk to him. If the good person that you've hired ends up with a boss that is not good enough in the eyes of the employee, he is not going to be staying in the company. Now, what is good? A good employee, a good boss has to be coming on time. A good boss has to dress up really well. A good boss needs to have the right attitude and aptitude towards things. A good boss will never say my customers are idiots. A good boss will always respect customers, and that will make the employee respect the environment. That will make the employee also dress up very well. If the way he comes to the office is shabby, the environment is going to be shabby, his work is going to be shabby. So you want to have the right supervisors in. Now for all of this to be right, and like it's said that people never leave companies, people leave bosses. So if you want these bosses to be right, the first thing that you must do is correct your behaviors. If you don't dress up well, so are your supervisors going to do it, and you are not going to get good supervisors. If you don't come on time, the supervisors are not going to come on time, and so you're not going to get people coming on time, and people who do and appreciate coming on time are not going to stick around in your company. So if you improve, your supervisors will improve, and therefore the people under them. The third thing that really matters when it comes to environment is the kind of people that they are surrounded with, other than the boss, which is the colleagues that they work with. Let me ask you these guys, if you have a best friend, why do you call that person, or why do you even select that person as a best friend? Simply because you can relate to the conversations that he makes, and he can relate to the kind of conversations that you can make. Your idea of life and his idea of life is similar. Your taste and his taste, if not absolutely calibrated, they are okay and acceptable. Imagine, would you become friends with somebody who's who's absolutely poles apart from you? You obviously wouldn't, right? You would not even want to talk to that person or see that person. The same goes for employees, right? They are human beings as well. So they would also like to hang around with people who can relate to them, whose tastes are like them, who like to eat what they eat, who like to buy what they buy, who have the same lifestyle that they have. Because employees are going to be spending 8 hours of their daily life in your company, and they obviously want a good company in your company. The second portion that you got to keep an eye on when it comes to keeping the people is compensation. Like it said, if you throw peanuts, monkeys are going to come. So you got to be paying a good person the worth of that goodness. Now I'm not saying pay a person a huge sum of money if you do not have budgets, but there are ways to go about doing this. You could probably break the compensation into two parts, a fixed part and a variable part. A good resource will never hesitate to take a variable income, and that variable income can be in correlation with his performance. So a good person knows that he can perform well if the environment is good, infrastructure is good, and he's given that opportunity. He will take up that variable income. Now, when you have this option, don't misuse it. A lot of people have, we've come across who, because have this option of having variable income, they attempt to cut down or squeeze the candidate on the fixed so much that it no more remains a worthy opportunity for a good person. So even if he takes it up, he's taking it only as a stopgap arrangement. The moment he gets a better fix somewhere else, he's going to go away, and you don't want to do that. The third and the most vital thing of the all, making sure that people stay, they need to know what is it for me in the next few years. Now that requires you to not only communicate that there is a growth possibility, but it also requires you to really demonstrate. Now when I say demonstrate, what do I really mean? You saying that you can grow in my company is small and you would have a lot of opportunities, is normally heard as a hearsay thing. That's not something that people can believe in. When I say demonstrate, you got to be able to present to this person the organizational chart and vacant positions that you're looking to fill up. If you are able to showcase that person that, if you are able to, during your conversations after the interview also, you are able to showcase and demonstrate and talk about the logics why that vacant position will need to be filled in quickly, he will buy into it and he will run for it if he is a good employee. If you do not have any growth path created for anybody but only yourself, or even if you think that it's only when I will grow will I be able to hire people, then it's not going to work. It's always going to be you giving first and then getting later, which technically means you will have to show them, this is where I want to have you in the organization chart, and this is the number that we are trying to reach out to, because that's when it will make logical sense. And then you got to strive, your actions need to talk very loudly about your strive towards reaching that number. That if is seen by the employee, he will stick around because he knows you're genuine about the growth. Again, you could also use organization structure optimization rules to be able to make this happen. If you want me to do a video on this as well, I'll be happy to do. Please leave a comment and let me know. By the way, when I spoke about the variable income, you could also see the scorecard video that I have done in the past on how can you go about giving incentives. I've done that video keeping sales in mind, but you can pretty much apply that logic to anything, and that video also will come somewhere here and in the description box in case if you're looking at this video on Facebook. Now coming to the third and the last point, if the time comes where you have to let the employee go and disconnect with your organization, how do you go about doing that? Now, there are going to be times where you will have to let the employees go. You cannot have a bad employee stay in the company. In fact, it's a bad strategy to do that. A lot of people in the small and medium sized enterprises I've seen just staying on with that employee because you're not wanting to recruit an external one, or there is a tremendous amount of fear that if that person leaves, then who will manage that workload. If you're trailing with that fear, you need to watch the video number 1 and the video number 2 of this series. You need to have a good strategy and a good process. If you have both of these, good people or bad people leaving your company does not matter. Of course, you will try everything to retain them, but if they have made up their mind, you will have to let them go. And if that is going to happen, you might as well do it in the right way. Second and the third point, I'm going to combine it together. While I'm saying don't burn the bridges in point 1, extend help and ask for feedback in return for your organization. If the employee is going somewhere else for the job, you still extend help in terms of, okay, I'll be happy to give you reference when your new boss or employer calls me. I'll be very happy to let them know that you were a good person in my organization. This you do even if the employee has been terminated for performance reasons. Maybe he didn't select the right job, maybe the way the job was supposed to be done was not right. So you would still be giving good references, unless of course it's an ethic issue, unless if the person has done something ethically wrong, disciplinary issue, then obviously that's an exception. But in all other cases, you will extend help. In return, ask for feedback. When an employee is exiting the company and you have had an open conversation and you have extended help, the employee will be very happy to share feedback with you. Now, when you take this feedback, it is imperative that you do not justify anything that he is saying. If he says that the HR policies are bad, just hear him out, acknowledge. Don't make faces. Don't say how the hell is that bad. Don't do all of that. Just make notes, because this employee has no benefit, zero benefit in you improving, because he's leaving. He is just going to give you feedback which is really, really, really true, and it will help you. The fourth point, and that's the simplest of all, but sometimes there are people who fall into that trap. Clear the full and final settlement as soon as you can. You don't want that to be waiting, and you don't want that for whatever reason to leave a bad taste to the possibly good relationship even outside of your organization. So don't get into the jumbo bumbo of calculating his TADA, travel allowance, his requisition, whether he submitted, not submitted. It's okay to lose a little bit of extra for a lot of gain. Besides, why do you want to invest time in calculating all of that and saving a little bit of money and investing time to do that? If that's the case, just make sure that the full and final settlement is pleasing for him and the disconnection happens smoothly. Now, the fifth point is extremely crucial. It's like the big blunder that one can do is requesting an employee who is wanting to resign to extend his notice period and give you that much more. Well, you can really do a request if the employee is really okay to accept it. But if the employee hesitates for a bit, you don't want to extend his notice period, because nobody, it's human science that nobody, I would say 9 out of 10 people would not really put in their 100% during the notice period. If he's, besides, his happiness of going to a better organization can incorrectly influence the people who want to stay in your organization but feel some things need to be corrected. They would probably get influenced by this guy and say, hey, you know what, he's going to a happy place, and unknown is always happy, right? So he's going to a happy place, why do I not do the same thing? And you're going to face attrition that you've not thought of. So never ever ask for an extension in the notice period unless it's done peacefully and the employee is willing to do it and it's at that maturity level, then you make an exception, but don't do it all the time. Guys, I understand that people management can be extremely taxing. Sometimes it can drain you off completely. You may end up feeling extremely demotivated when a person leaves your company or when you don't get the right people, and you may kind of start feeling that nothing really works. If you have feelings like this, well, very recently we've done a video on this. It's called the Champions Routine. It's a fantastic way in which I keep myself sane. So if you get ever depressed with these people management issues, and I know that can happen, especially when you're a small company and attempting to grow, this Champions Routine can keep you sane. I would paste the link, and again it will appear somewhere here and it will be in the description box. Click on that link, have a look at what the Champions Routine video says. If you already are convinced on what I'm saying about Champions Routine and are ready to jump in without looking at the video, then here's the number flashing. Just say hi on this number and somebody from my team will call you and will induct you into Champions Routine. It's a WhatsApp group that you can get into and enjoy a few tidbits every single day that will keep you sane. I hope you like this video, and I hope you are now going to have enough arsenal to go out there and make your human resource done very well. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up and do comment and let me know if you want me to do more videos on any of the topics that we discussed or the sub points that we discussed during this video. And of course, don't forget sharing with your friends and family, because it's only by having a wonderfully systematic ecosystem around us that we are indirectly going to benefit. Keep growing, keep watching these videos, keep propelling.